Rikers Correctional Facility sits on a small island 8 miles from the center of Manhattan. Home to 17,000 inmates, it is the world's largest penal colony. Today, for the first time in a decade, a camera crew is allowed to enter the Rikers walls to document an unusual contest, a head-to-head clash between Rikers inmates and a legal team led by top attorneys. But this battle will be fought with neither fists nor legal strategies, but with ideas.
Is no disgrace. To remain a criminal is the disgrace. I formerly was a criminal. I formerly was in prison. I'm not ashamed of that. You never can use that over my head.
Our two teams are ready for the debate. The leader, and first for the affirmative team, is Toby Cradaville. Toby is a New York City courtroom attorney.
Now our topic is straightforward. It's better to rob a bank than work for McDonald's. Willie Sutton was a famous bank robber. When he was taken on his last job, and he was not easy to take because he was a very slippery individual and a very canny and crafty individual, some enterprising reporters asked him what it was that he did and why he did it. He said, "I'm never happier than when I'm inside a bank doing what I was meant to do, robbing it." This refrain sums it up. I'm not a rap speaker or a rap singer, but I give this to you for the logic of it, as well as for the emotion. My mother goes to work cold busting her behind. My sister's cute, but she's got no gear. I got 3 pairs of pants with my brother I share. Then in school, see, I'm made a fool. But there's no dollar for nothing else. I got beans, bread, and rice on my shelf. I do odd jobs, come home like a slob. So here comes Rob. His gold is shimmering. He gives $200 for a quick delivery. I do it once, I do it twice. Now there's steak with the beans and rice. The family's happy. Everything is new. Now tell me, what the am I supposed to do?
Our leader for the negative, Cliff Powell, a roofer by trade, is incarcerated for larceny.
Good morning. The net average of a bank robbery, at most $20,000. Not much money. If you, and when you get caught for robbing a bank, at least 15 years. If you want to run, because sometimes you can rob a bank and don't get caught. Now you can run and run and run and run, but just think, if you worked at McDonald's for the time that you ran, the possibilities are unlimited. Now, you may not have much skills, but that's what McDonald's do. They will give you skills. McDonald's are looking for managers, starting at $30,000 a year. Most corrections officers, that's what they start at, $30,000. Sounds good to me. Just because we have limited options doesn't mean we have to go to the negative side of the law. Because we all know that being in a place called prison is not something that you, I, or anybody else want to do. Every bank robbery, 9 times out of 10, when you get that money, you're gonna spend it fast. Because you're always looking over your shoulder, so you never know when you're gonna get caught. So the main option is to spend that money, then what you gonna do? Rob another bank. See, the old Bonnie and Clyde days are over. Even the great Willie Sutton was caught.
Second for the affirmative, Tom Morgan. Tom is a senior vice president at Smith Barney and syndicated talk show host.
Lots of jail time was appointed, Mr. Powell. Not true. In fact, the statistics say that for most crimes committed in America, something like only 15% of the people ever get into jail. So the odds are in your favor. I'm going to come back to odds. This is capitalism. We're in capitalism, which means you got to have capital. Capital is robbing a bank. Capital ain't $6 an hour. Capital is 100 grand, and you do something with that in capitalism. Everybody said, they didn't read this, they said working at McDonald's. No, you're working for McDonald's. When you got capital, you're working for yourself. When you're working at McDonald's, you're working for McDonald's. Big difference. And also, life is an opportunity to distinguish yourself. How do you give meaning to your life? How do you distinguish yourself? You do something unique. Going to McDonald's, unique? Hell no, millions of people have gone that route. That's not unique. How many people rob a bank? Very few. Very few. That's a way to distinguish yourself. You might say to me, hey, I can distinguish myself. I can climb Mount Everest. And I would say the odds are bad. Most of the people who try to climb Mount Everest hurt their lungs. A good many of them die. So those are bad odds at distinguishing yourself. Good odds to rob a bank. Good odds to commit a crime. The average murderer only serves 5.5, 6 years in this country. Murder! Robbing a bank, hey. The odds are with you. I'm in the investment business. I got to advise people about odds all the time. This guy came to me and said, hey, should I put my money on him? He's going to go work for McDonald's, or on him? He says he's going to rob a bank. I said, him? Him? That's a better investment. Let's go with the odds. And I would say, get even. Get even with the system. Go with the odds.
Jonathan Hutchinson, a shipping clerk, was incarcerated for domestic abuse.
I'm not going to talk about robbing the bank because that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to talk about it's better to work at McDonald's. We're talking about being a part of a group of people, a community, of humanity. We got to be better, man. We got to be better. You know? The argument you heard was persuasive. It ain't gonna hurt nobody. But nobody said better. I wanna tell you, that's the key word this morning. I love basketball. Some of the greatest players worked at McDonald's too. Magic Johnson turned the whole game of basketball around, but he had a job at McDonald's first. Julius Erving took basketball game to a whole new level. But he had a job at McDonald's first. It takes you 50 years to rob a bank to make $225,000 if you rob a bank every year. You work at McDonald's for 15 years and make $225,000. Which is better? You tell me which is better. Work at McDonald's for 15 years, earn $225,000? Or to be persuaded to rob a bank for the next 50 years and make $225,000. Thank you.
Up last for the affirmative team, John McLean. John is a criminal defense attorney and chief of a major law firm.
To rob a bank is without any reasonable doubt, my friend, in compelling circumstances, a much better step to take in life than to spend one's days working in any place like McDonald's. Basically, no one gets hurt, and in the end result, we get a good deal of satisfaction. How can it possibly be better? To work in McDonald's for 10 hours a day, being ordered around every few minutes by rude and thoughtless people who regard you only as a robot without feelings, when compared with working only a few hours and ending the day Not with $100 in your pocket, but with thousands. People who are, as they used to say, down on their uppers, are made to go out to work because we have returned to that old Puritan dogma that work is noble. Noble, but my friend here did not talk about nobility when he talked about working for McDonald's. What nobility is to be found in that? Think about what it's like for the bank then. Here's this girl. You come up, you charmed her with your smile. There's no guns in this. This is just pure charm. And you've said to her, look, hand over that canvas bag. Okay? She hands over the canvas bag and she smiles at you. She may be pressing a buzzer on the floor at the same time, but never mind. The fact is that she has lost nothing. Compare that with the thought of robbing a girl of her virginity. She can never get that back. Once you've taken it, a dastardly thing to do. But the bank, once you've stolen their money, it comes in again. It's like an ever-filling pitcher, you know. There's no problem for the bank. And my ending parable to you, perhaps, it's a bit like the result you might get if ever you had the opportunity of squeezing a rich man's testicles. It hurts! It hurts! But there is no permanent damage.
Up last, for the negative team, Herbert Berry. Herbert was incarcerated for sales of narcotics.
What if your son, your daughter, any child that you love came to you and said, Dad, Mom, I'm thinking about robbing the bank. What should I do? Should I rob a bank or should I get a job at McDonald's? Just think about that for a minute. This is a child that you nurture. This is a child that you love. What would be your answer to that child? I know what my answer would be, because for me, robbing a bank is no option. It's no option whatsoever for me. How about you? Would you tell your child, yes, child, your son, yes, daughter, rob the bank? You might do well. Or would you tell that child, get your butt, go to McDonald's, work your way up, work your way as a stepping stone to something bigger and better for yourself? Which answer would you give that child? He was talking about being ordered around at McDonald's. The manager telling you, look, do this, do this, do that, do this. Okay. Would you rather for him to be telling you that and you can go home at 4 or 3? Or would you rather be in here for the officers telling you that? When you can't go home, you have to do what they say. Think about it. See, only thing I can do is put it on myself. I know right now, if I had an option to work at McDonald's today, for that manager to order me around and I can go home at 3 o'clock, let me go. Oh, man, another good point. Excellent point. About a rich man, you grabbing his testicles. Okay, good point. You wouldn't want me to do that. However you perceive, whatever you perceive your reality to be, whatever we perceive our reality to be, that's what our future will be. If you perceive yourself as a person that can only have an option of robbing the bank, that's what your future will be, in jail. For me, I can't, that is no option. I can't even perceive that concept. For the simple fact is, a first-time offender that gets caught for robbing a bank, oh, they say he may do 15 years. Me, myself, I stand senior to my past. Okay, so that's not an option for me, because if I go and rob a bank and I get caught, I'll never see the daylight again. So I can't even conceive of that thought even entering my head. For me, he made a point about the nobility, being noble. Do you actually believe, do you actually believe if you felt that you are a noble person, that you would rather work for your money or break the law? If you were a noble person, noble people work hard, they study, they do things, they make things happen. They meet people, they study, they learn. They don't have to have a dime. That's what noble people do. We have very good examples of people in our history that we all know of that started off in McDonald's as a stepping stone. Okay? The first black mayor of this city, David Dings, once worked at McDonald's. He's a great man. Now suppose he asked somebody when he was a kid, what should I do? Should I rob a bank? Or should I go get a job at McDonald's? When he was a kid, he might have been making $4 an hour at that time. Think about it. Another great man that we all know, Martin Luther King, worked in McDonald's. I don't think a lot of you knew this. Think about how he changed the course of history. Not for just me, for everybody, okay? Now suppose he went on that concept. I don't think the world would be what it is today. Matter of fact, I know it wouldn't be what it is today. Adversity makes a man look at himself. When you look in the mirror at yourself, what do you want to see? When other people look at you, what do you want them to see? Do you want them to see an upstanding young man that's trying to do something with himself, trying to better his life? Do you want them to continually see a thug? What do you want out of your life? What do you want for your life? Is it better to rob a bank than work in McDonald's? Ask yourself that question. I don't think it's an option. Matter of fact, I really don't think there's anything to talk about. Thank you.
The judges unanimously awarded the debate to the inmates. Herbert Berry was judged guest speaker.
The thing that struck me most intimately, most emotionally about the debate were the several moments when I saw on the faces of several in the audience and even on the speakers that flash of recognition that comes when you begin to realize that it's possible to do something you didn't think you could do.
They held their own very well, and I think that they proved once again that the particular techniques of language are not as important as the feelings that these people are trying to express.
Well, first of all, dealing with the speakers themselves and their abilities rather than the argument. I was astounded, not only when they began to speak, but even when they walked into the room.
It came as no surprise to me that the inmates won the debate. They were passionate and polished advocates. Frankly, they'd have performed just as well arguing for the other side. Yet, just a few weeks earlier, they were anxious, muddle-headed and tongue-tied. All it took to transform them was big ideas, empathetic teaching, and a challenge.
I always think of that scene in Dumbo where Jiminy the Crow gives Dumbo the magic feather, and he knows Dumbo can already fly. He knows Dumbo has it in him, but Dumbo doesn't believe that he can fly until he gets the magic feather. And then he gets pushed off the top of the ladder by the mouse, and he flies with the magic feather in his trunk. And after a while, he discards the magic feather.